Imaginary friends. This is something that a lot of people have experiences of in childhood. You may have experienced this yourself, or you may be a parent who has children that they refer to these friends that you aren't able to see with your physical eyes. So I felt it's time to make a film about this, and my eyes are just drawn to the moon. I don't know whether you're able to see that, but I can see the moon in the sky. So beautiful. So this is a classic case of shamanic, because of course nothing is as it seems, and that most emphatically applies to the idea of imaginary friends. So they are so much more than imaginary, and they are friends, no question about it, and they can be so much more than friends too. So just consider this. Some children go through unbearable loneliness, and this applies to only children, obviously, but it also applies to children who have other siblings too. They may just feel different. They may not be able to connect with them so well, or even if that isn't the case, it still happens. So here I am in this wonderful orchard in the Byes in Sidmouth as I go into this subject. So these so-called imaginary friends are beings, and they no longer have a physical body. It is usual that they've lived physical lifetimes before, and they often present themselves in the form which is of course most acceptable and easily understood by a young child, which is to be a young child themselves. And what they do is they literally befriend the lonely or the lost one, and they provide a form of companionship which is so special that anyone who's had this experience knows what I'm talking about. It is such a gift to have imaginary friends, and they seem to have this capacity to know you in a way that the physical beings don't. So the first thing is, if you've got a child who starts talking about imaginary friends, the very best thing you can do is to start listening, avoid any sense of judgment, and be in a place of complete acceptance that this is your child's experience. And if you're a child, no one needs to tell you how powerful and valuable this experience is, because you know for yourself. So if this is something that's happened to you, perhaps listening to this film will cause you to remember certain experiences from your childhood where imaginary friends, as they are called, played a great part. And so this is a shamanic link, because of course if you are a child and eventually grow up and you become a shaman, then there will come a moment when you realise, yes, those connections I had with what I call my imaginary friends, just moved from apples into plums now, that connection with what I call imaginary friends, of course they were beings, and they chose to come to me to guide me through that most difficult time of life for some of us, which is childhood. For some people childhood is wonderful, I do know that, but for others childhood can be the most challenging part, and it can be a question of to be or not to be, as Hamlet said in Shakespeare's play. It really can be that much of an issue. So that's one of the subtexts of the beings that choose to come in the guise of an imaginary friend, is they are here to help that child who's lost, experiencing profound loneliness, and to help them to stay the course, to remain in their physical bodies, to remain a human corporeal being with all of the delights and the challenges that offers us all. So that's my message to you about imaginary friends. Please, if you know of any children and they start talking to you about this subject, The best thing you can do is to go into total, complete acceptance. Understand that you might not know what they're talking about, but they do. And if this is an experience that you remember from your childhood, then what I'd ask you to do is simply give gratitude to those wonderful beings that chose to connect with you in that way and provide you with insights, understanding, and thank them that in those darkest hours they helped you and they were with you, and you're alive today and thriving, just like this beautiful apple tree. Thank you very much.